Good evening. I just got applause someplace where I didn't expect it. It's making me laugh. How are you all? Happy Wednesday. Happy hump day. Happy middle of the week. Happy middle of whatever's going on in your life right now. Our intention in being here is that if you need a little lift, or if you need a little faith, or if you need a little faith lift, um, if you need a better understanding of your relationship with Spirit and what Spirit's all about, well, that's why we're here. And you are so very welcome to join us. I like to think that we're a kind of spiritual clinic. We help you feel better if you feel bad, and we'll help you feel even better if you're feeling fine. And we can also function as a spiritual urgent care if that happens to be what you need in the moment. To get us all playing off the same page, I invite you to listen to the words I'm about to speak, and if they resonate with you, please feel free to repeat after me. I'll leave room for you to do that. If they don't, or if you're not sure, just listen. See how it feels. So, there is a creative, motivating power in the universe.
There is a creative, motivating power in the universe.
It is the intelligence
It is the intelligence
and the power
and the power
and the love
and the love
back of all creation.
back of all creation.
It is the life within me.
It is the life within me.
I know it.
I know it.
I feel it.
I feel it.
I believe it.
I believe it.
And I accept it.
And I accept it.
And so it is.
And so it is.
So it's Wednesday, and what's going on in the world at large? A lot. A whole bunch. The pandemic continues and grows stronger, even though there's a whole lot of people who are acting like it's over. I actually had someone tell me this week how busy they are in the post-pandemic world. I wanted to ask them what world they were in, but I didn't. If that's their version of the world, God bless them. So Congress is still talking about infrastructure. They all agree we've got it. They all agree that we need to fix it. They just can't agree on whether or not we should pay for it and how much. The climate situation continues. You are either being flooded or in a drought. It just seems like there's almost nothing in between. And a woman was apparently unaware that she had a $39 million lottery ticket in her purse for weeks. Well, that's a nice thing to find out, isn't it? As long as it's weeks and not however many months you have to actually turn one of those things in. Oh, there's so much more. But this isn't intended to be a news show. Honestly, it's not. I just wanted to point out that there's a lot of stuff going on out there in the world. And I guess my real question would be, how's that affecting you? How are you holding up in this semi-post-pandemic world? Depending upon where you are, of course. There are a lot of places where it's very much still the pandemic world. Talk to me. How are you doing? Happy Wednesday, Jefferson. I'm so glad you're here. Always nice to see your beautiful face. And what's going on in your life? How's the world treating you and the world's situations? I've been following the Olympics somewhat. Honestly, I haven't been following it, you should excuse the expression, religiously. But I have been following somewhat, and I'm very much aware of people dropping out, partially because they're testing positive, but then you take someone like Simone Biles, and I'm going to mention her again later, but who's saying for her own mental health, she needs to be out. And that saddens me. I'm glad she's doing it. I'm glad she's taking care of herself. I'm very grateful for that. But it saddens me that it's come to that for her. Yeah, Jefferson says there seems to be a lot of negativity going on. I agree. And it does seem like more than usual. And in places we've never had it before. I mean, it almost feels, doesn't it, like there's a civil war going on? And there's a committee that's been called to study it and find out why it happened and what happened and who started it. And somehow that reminds me of kids arguing about who started it. What difference does it make if somebody's got a bloody nose or a black eye or a broken arm? Really, what difference does it make who started it? The question that seems to me to be more important is, how are we going to end it? How are we going to come together and find peace? It's a big question. Hello, Laura. Glad you're here. Very glad you're here. How's your life? How's the world treating you? How are you holding up in this world that seems to be laden with challenges? I'm not going to say problems because I know that all too often the problems become actually gifts. They turn into something completely different than that which we originally thought they were. But for the now, it seems negative out there, doesn't it? For the now. Flexibility is a must. No kidding. And even the most flexible person in the world, our little Simone Biles, is having trouble with her flexibility these days. Not her physical flexibility. She says it's not physical problems. It's mental, emotional pressure, that kind of thing. I'm sorry for her. She's worked very, very hard to get where she is. And I am yet so very glad that she has chosen to take care of herself in the face of all of that. And I guess that's being very flexible, isn't it? To be able to say no to something that you've been planning on and hoping for, and to be able to just say no. No, I'm not going to do this. Not right now. I admire her. It takes courage to do what she's been doing. And same with Naomi Osaka, who crashed out of Wimbledon because, or whichever tennis match. I don't watch tennis. I don't pretend to. But I know that she walked away because she didn't want to have to deal with the press and that pressure. So I think sometimes we exhibit our flexibility in a lot of different ways, don't we? Sometimes it's going with the flow, and sometimes it's saying, I'm not going to go with the flow. I'm flexible enough to change my mind, to do things differently. Boy, and isn't that what we talk a lot about around here? Hi, Brenda. Knowing when to know. Yeah, N-O, no. I'm not real good at that. But I'm learning. It's a process. Learning to know. I've yesed most of my life. And it's gotten me in trouble a few times. So my theme song used to be I'm Just a Girl Who Can't Say No. Meant differently than the original song. But I'm learning. Hello, Brenda, darling. Glad you're here. How are you feeling? Let me know. I've had you on the brain quite a bit lately, and it feels good. It not troubling, not worried having you on the brain, having you in a good way on my mind. So let me know how you're doing. Would you please? I'd appreciate that. So, why don't I kind of just jump on in and talk about what I'm going to talk about tonight, and then we'll go from there. I also have a piece of fuzz on my lip. There, I think I got it. If not, I'll be going trying to fix it. And that's just not proper. God forbid I should not be proper. So, let's talk. Let's talk. A lot of attention is being paid this week to Japan and the happenings there. Not just because the Olympics are playing out there, but because the pandemic numbers are also playing out there and seriously on the rise. Vaccinations are really low for a country of that size. And for reasons that are not entirely clear or ordinary, athletes do seem to be performing at a lesser level. And they're dropping out at unprecedented numbers. In many cases, as with Simone Biles, our star gymnast, our precious little amazing girl who can throw herself into the sky and act like a flying star, Simone pulled out of the team competition and an individual event, and she's flat out saying, this is not a physical problem. I need some mental, emotional time out. And she isn't the only one saying things like that lately. People are owning up to being overwhelmed and overloaded with stress and anxiety. And although I do celebrate those who admit to needing time out, I'm also a bit concerned with what's leading up to that need. I was listening to one of the network doctors the other night, and he was telling people how to properly train for an athletic event. And of course he said sleep well and eat well, and then he said, don't miss any opportunity to take advantage of energy stops. And I grabbed the remote and played it back, and sure enough, that's what he said. That got my attention. Not rest stops, but energy stops. Specific spaces and places allocated for renewal and refueling and gathering resources for the rest of the events. Races wear souls out. Souls, S-O-L-E-S. Energy stops help resoul, S-O-U-L. Kind of like a spiritual community. I see this space as that. Not the place that most of us live or run the races of our lives, whichever race we may be in, but the place that we come to renew our spiritual strength, to refuel our minds and spirits, to resoul, S-O-U-L, for the races ahead of us. Wednesday is designated as a place to gather resources for the rest of the week so that we don't end up weakened or hobbled or disillusioned by the daily races of our lives. Hump day, they call it. Yeah. An Olympic event or a marathon is an amazing test of human endurance, drive, desire, determination, and human will. Honestly, I have no idea how or why people train their bodies to undergo that kind of challenge. It's not my thing. But I do know that those who train have a far greater possibility of success than those who do not. And I also know that all of us, in one form or another, are running races. We've set our sights on special goals, dreams, desires. We have set off some kind of starting gun in our minds, and we are officially in the race. I also know that some of us have got far better odds in our favor, and we are in far better shape to make it to the finish line than others may be, because we've been in training. I believe that training in every aspect of our life makes a major difference. Ernest Holmes, that great coach of spiritual athletics, wrote, he's probably spinning, train your mind to think what you wish to think, to feel what you wish to feel. Train your mind and place no limit on principle. See, it's not just a matter of praying or saying the words. It's not. But training your mind to believe the words you are saying. You have absolute power in your life. But you've got to know it. You've got to believe it. And you've got to accept responsibility for it. And that power can create or destroy. It can fulfill or diminish. It can do all kinds of things. But the power is absolute. And it's yours. Eric Hoffer once wrote, those in position of absolute power can not only prophesy and make the prophecies come true, but they can also lie and make their lies come true. Nothing is either good or bad, Shakespeare said, but thinking makes it so. Now let me remind you that you have absolute power in your life. And it works through your thinking, through your belief. The power that you have is both a potent and a potential energy, a latent power. But it is always ready to take form, ready to become molded into any and all forms, according to your instruction. An unconscious power waiting to be called into form by consciousness. Whatever is in your consciousness, the question then becomes, what is in your consciousness? What is the mental state that you are using to call up the power? Are you really emotionally and mentally ready for the race? Or are you already tired, already overwhelmed, already overstressed, already defeated before you even start? Now, we all know that no one ever won a race telling themselves that they couldn't. We're smarter than that. And please congratulate yourself for knowing that, because, frankly, not everyone does. We were all raised with the story of the little engine that could. I think I can, I think I can, I think I can. And because it told itself it could, it did. And the moral couldn't be more obvious. But we don't all use what we know. I talk to people all the time who are telling themselves that they can't. So they don't. But they don't realize that the reason they don't or won't or can't is in their minds. And on closer questioning, what I discover is that most people just aren't willing to work up a great enough head of steam to equal the faith of the little engine. The little engine, according to the story, knew that 1/22nd of an ounce of coal will draw 2 tons 1 mile. He knew the power he possessed. Do you? This is not about creating energy or harnessing some super energy, and forcing it to work for us. And it's not about using our willpower to make something happen or to make someone else behave in a different way. Quite the contrary. In fact, if we think that we can influence others with our willpower, then sooner or later we will have to come to believe that someone else with a greater willpower will have influence over us. Why go there? To try to force or coerce an idea into being, or to try to force or coerce a person into being a certain way, is like believing in a kind of stage magic. The temporary effects of willpower will only last as long as we are willing to force the thought to stay in our mind. And the deliberate use of willpower to try and change things makes a lie of what we actually believe, to say nothing of giving you a colossal headache. We use a creative power which does not need to be urged or paralyzed or forced into action. It's nature to act, to create, to produce. And because we are as we are, it is its nature to act creatively on the images of our thoughts. In other words, we do not create the energy. We do not force the energy. We distribute the energy with our thinking. The natural sciences tell us that we can transform energy from one type to another. They do it all the time. Water becomes electricity and so on. So the will may decide what form the energy will take, but it cannot, nor does it need to, create the energy. It's already there. We don't compel the energy to take form. We don't have to. Nor should we. To try to force it to behave through deep concentration or strenuous willpower would actually be to give ourselves a negative suggestion, the suggestion that there's something fighting what we want, something out there aligned against us. And so ultimately to bring into our lives the very opposite of our prayers, through the setting up of an unconscious recognition of an opposite to the ever-present, ever-ready power of spirit. And there is none. There need be no struggle. There should be no struggle. We have to focus our attention on the good and accept that there is absolutely nothing that stands in the way of that except our own thinking. And if we need to change our thinking, let us change it. It's a kind of surrender. It's the acceptance, the realization that we are, in fact, powerful and that we are always causing something to be created. We are always setting something into motion with our thoughts. We cannot stop the creative process. It's going on all the time. But we can direct it. And we can direct it to good, to more, to health, to happiness, to our advantage in our own lives, in our own world, through the power that is inherent in our minds. I think sometimes we just have to remember that we're not in the race alone. Spirit is there. Spirit is the life behind all that exists, the intelligent energy that is doing the running through all of life. It is the life we feel but don't see, though we can certainly see and live with what it does. And if we really look, we will find it within ourselves, not just in our dreams and hopes, but in our ability to make those hopes and dreams a reality. Our words are the individualization of the words of God. Our thoughts are our individualization of the thoughts of God. And just as all forms of energy return ultimately to their source, so the word of creation in us is the word of creation itself. No matter who is speaking it or when or where it is spoken, it doesn't matter. The fact is the fact. We are revealers. We don't need to create the divine. We reveal it. And we reveal, we do not create the divine nature within us. There's nothing we need to do but understand it. Do you understand it? Do you really get how powerful you are? How immensely unlimited you are? You are not all of God, but spirit, God, creation is what you are. 2,000 years ago, Jesus said, "He that believes in me, the works that I do shall he do, and greater things." Nothing has changed. Nothing has changed since then. I take that on several levels. While it is still true in possibility, we have not so much demonstrated it yet. Oh, we have the processes to help the blind see and help the lame walk. And we've created ways to do that. More power to us. But there's so much more. And greater things, he said. These things and greater things. Can you? Will you? Do you? I know the world is pretty stressful right now. I got it. And you may be tired. That's fair. But the nature of reality is not tired. God cannot be used up. It can only be more revealed. It can only be made manifest on a greater and greater level through each one of us, if we get out of our own way. My favorite Bible quote, and it really is my favorite, Romans 8:19. Nature waits with eager longing for the children of God to be revealed. And I think nature right now is trying to tell us that she's pretty not happy about what we've been doing, and we have not been acting like the children of God, and we need to get onto it. Okay, so Ernest Holmes said it a little differently. All nature conspires to produce and manifest the freedom of the individual. Nature's in there conspiring, thinking up ways to, if nothing else, annoy us into being the children of God that she's waiting for with eager longing. The freedom of the individual, your freedom, my freedom, however we define that, needs to be loosed. That spiritual energy, that creative energy, that do good in the world energy needs to be unleashed so that we may, in fact, make a difference and fulfill the eager longing of nature, who's been waiting a ridiculously long time for us. What we need to know is that energy unconnected does nothing. It's only when it is used properly, when it is properly directed, that it accomplishes great things. So connect. There is a power for good in the universe, and you can use it. Its natural tendency is toward good, toward beauty, toward love, toward healing. Look around you. Know that God is for you, whatever your conception of God may be. And that God, however we define it, whatever our picture of it, still responds. That's what it does. Whenever and wherever there is an image which does not contradict the nature of the universe, that image will not only tend to take form, but it will take form. And it will manifest. It must. It must. That's how the universe works. Henry Miller once wrote, "What is the potential man after all? Is he not the sum of all that is human? Divine, in other words." Henry Miller. You have the energy within you. You may not feel it in the moment, but connect to it and you will feel it. You have the power. You may not feel it in the moment. You may not know it in the moment, but connect to it. Call upon it. Your mind is your greatest asset. Train your mind to think what you wish to think, to feel what you wish to feel, and place no limit on principle. Your mind is always your greatest asset. You may train your body, and that's good. But even more importantly, train your mind and use it. Okay, I'll get down off my pedestal now, my soapbox. Okay, hold on a minute while I catch up with what you've been writing. You've got it, Laura. You've got it. Let me know when and where so I can really zoom in on the thoughts. Physical therapy is an interesting thing, isn't it? Look at you guys supporting each other. I love that. Oh, Jefferson. I just love you. And so it is. Amen. Amen. And amen. which is simply saying "and so it is" 3 times. Amen seems to have a punch to it, though, doesn't it? Okay, so Laura, Thursday. Physical therapy, Brenda, on the 3rd, which is next Tuesday, yes? Anybody else? I love praying for you guys, so don't be afraid to ask. I love it. I do. Makes me feel even closer to you. Makes it feel like family. And it is. It's spiritual family, isn't it? Anyway, I love praying for you. So please, please, please let me know. And if there's more than you want to say in an open forum, just email me. Most of you know how to get to me, don't you? Marlene Morris at sbcglobal.net. So, give me some good news. Give me some good news. The world news is interesting in this moment, I think. It's not off the charts negative and scary, kind of not like going through the Cuban Missile Crisis. But there's tension. There's an amazing amount of tension and negativity. Let's not add to it, shall we? Let's make it a better world with our thoughts. Yeah. Don't worry, Jefferson. I saw the note. I saw the note that you're feeling positive, and that feels good. Yes. Yes, it does. It just feels better to feel positive. Even if nothing changes, it feels better to feel positive. So, why not feel positive? Why not? Why not feel better? Why not contribute to a happier world? I think you're right, Jefferson, to a great extent. I think the people of the world and its people are trying to find balance. I'm not even sure it's again. But I think we're always struggling for balance. And what that means to each of us, and I think part of it is that it means something different, doesn't it? To each of us. And we're trying to define ourselves and each other, and the only filter we've really got is ourselves. So we have a tendency to assume that everybody else thinks like we do, except those people who clearly don't think anything like we do. If that were me, it would have meant. But we really can't do that. We really can't do that because, number one, it isn't you, is it? I I taped a talk for Unity today, and in it I talked about Moses, and then later I said, you can't be Moses. Moses was Moses. The best you could ever be would be a poor imitation, and given the time differences and the wardrobe differences, if nothing else, why would you want to be that? Be you. God has taken form in this world as you. What an awesome thought. What an awesome thought. Spirit itself, creation itself, has taken form in this world as you to live your life at the highest level. Wow. And I know there are days when we don't feel up to it. I don't want to be a superstar. I want to take a nap. And that's okay. We can take a nap once in a while. I don't think creation minds at all. It probably enjoys naps. But there is this. When you are awake, be all you can be. That doesn't mean making life hard. It doesn't mean working your little feet off. It doesn't mean any of that. It just means being the best that you know to be. Remember the motto at Spirit Works? See the good, be the best. Treat life with love. It still holds true. It still holds true. Nothing has changed. And nature waits with eager longing for the children of God to be revealed. Let's pray, shall we? Close your eyes if that's comfortable for you. I'm going to take just a sip of my tea. If closing your eyes isn't comfortable, then just soft focus. Find something to look at and let your eyelids just kind of drop so that your attention, the whole point of this is so that your attention goes within and you aren't distracted by things around you. And know with me that God is all there is. That one life, that one intelligence, that one spark, that one light is all that there is. And we are individualizations of the light. We are reminded not to hide that light under a bushel or a tarp or an excuse, but to let the light shine. And shine so brightly that others are attracted to it. And with that comes joy and love and healing. Know that. The more you shine your light, the more you attract wellness and healing. And know that everyone that is attracted into your life is the same as you are. They are spirit in expression. And so I know that Laura knows that everyone in that operating room on Wednesday is spirit in a medical costume. Spirit behind a mask. Spirit in the hands that touch and heal. That's all that there is. And when we recognize that in one another, we draw that out of one another. And so I know Laura does that. She sees only spirit in many of its guises. In a hospital, in an operating room, doesn't matter. All that there is spirit wherever it is. And she knows. She knows, and so everything goes extremely well, exceedingly well. And she recovers in miracle time. All because she knows and accepts and celebrates the presence of God. And I know for Brenda that they may call themselves a physical therapist, but the truth is it's God, it's spirit. And it knows exactly what to do to help her build her strength back, to give her balance, to help her, to aid her, to assist her in becoming all that she is intended to be, which is magnificent. And I know that the spirit within Jefferson stays joyful and smart and wise. And happy. Because that's what he's putting out, and so that's what he gets. Because that's the way it works. And I know that any prayer requests that are unexpressed are answered because Spirit knows. Spirit knows and responds. And I know that anyone within the sound of my voice now knows who they are, what they are. And because of that, healing happens. Joy occurs. Love responds. I know that. There isn't a doubt. Not a doubt in my mind. And so I am deeply grateful for the healing and the joy and the balance. And the revealing of the children of God. And I know, too, that that pleases nature and that nature responds in kind. We pray for the water that is falling on the east to come west, and for the dryness and the warmth that is in the west to move to the east. God can do that. We claim it, we accept it, and we let it be so. And so it is. I truly believe that the world is on the verge of something. I'd like to think it's the discovery of our divinity. And I don't believe in the naysayers who think we're headed for disaster. I don't believe it's too late. But I think it's time for us to decide. Time for us to roll up our spiritual sleeves and get to work. Time for us to be bigger, to care more, to let go of things we can do nothing about, and to let go of the past if it isn't serving us. I believe it's time that we stop tying ourselves in knots because of what others have done or not done, or what we have done or not done. It is done unto us as we believe. And because I know that, I know that tomorrow will be created in love. Let us enlighten our minds with our visions and dreams for the future, not our fears of the past, or even fears for the future. What do we want? What do we want? I'd like you to, if you would, repeat our closing comments after me, and then click on our closing song. Thank you, technical department.
Mm-hmm.
Please listen, and if it feels right, repeat. The universe is calling.
The universe is calling.
We are here to answer the call.
We are here to answer the call.
With spiritual truth,
with spiritual truth,
with spiritual action,
with spiritual action,
and with love.
and with love.
We are here
We are here
to be agents of change
to be agents of change
in our lives,
in our lives,
in our communities,
in our communities,
and in our world.
and in our world.
And so we are,
And so we are.
and so it is.
And so it is.
Happy Wednesday. I feel better. Thank you for being here. Come back on Sunday. I'll be here at noon on Sunday, and again next Wednesday at 7 o'clock. This is what I do. Take care of yourselves. Go be a blessing. What else have you got to do that's more important than that? Happy rest of your week. Know that you go with God, because you can go no other way. Your assignment, if you choose to accept it, is to make God smile.